Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RNCC meeting. It's Monday, April 8th, 2024. It's 7:06. Before we call to order, I'd like to let everybody know that this meeting is being recorded, and remember to be respectful of our speakers and questions. Please stay on topic. And if you could silence your phones and possibly mute your Zoom, if you're on Zoom, until you're ready to speak, that would be great. We'll start out with introductions, and if you're part of a neighborhood council, now's the time to give your report. So I'd like to start off with Garland Ellis to my left.
Hello, I'm Garland Ellis, President of the Richmond Annex Neighborhood Council. At least this month, or at the end of the month, we have an election, so we'll see. Along with our meeting, the Annex will be meeting the fourth Thursday of the month. I'm also the PIO for the RNCC.
Rock Brown, Treasurer of the East Richmond Neighborhood Council. No report at this time. And I'm also the Sergeant of Arms for the RNCC. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ardo Rentila. I'm the President of the Fairmead Hilltop Neighborhood Council and the Chair of the RNCC. And last week we had Michelle Milam, who gave us a great presentation. We had a great turnout. I'm also on the West County Wastewater, and if anybody gets a chance, please check out our website. We've got a great clean and green plan, 87 million. So, and also the Fairmead Hilltop neighborhood is proud to announce we're going to have a career fair on Saturday, May 18th from 10 to 2. So everybody's welcome. If you're an employer, you're welcome. And if you're an employee, prospective employee, you're welcome. So I'll pass it on to Jan, to my right.
I'm Jan Mignoni. I'm the president of the North and East Neighborhood Council and the treasurer for the RNCC. I don't have a report because we didn't have a meeting last in March. Hopefully we will have one this month.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Garetha Johnson, but my friends call me Rita. I'm the president of the Neighborhood Council for Parchester Village and director at large for the RNCC. And in Parchester, we're really gearing up for our mural painting, the 88 panels, and it's coming along. I think the Art Commission finalized the design, and so now we're just putting everything into work. So a flyer should be going out soon, and we'll be advertising, and I'm hoping to see all your faces come out and paint with us on those days. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Josephine Velasquez. I am president of the May Valley Neighborhood Council and corresponding secretary of the RNCC. We are having our dumpster day coming up, and we were supposed to be having elections coming up, but we're in the process of locating and then rewriting our bylaws. That's it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Lori Hart. I am the Parchester Village Neighborhood Council Secretary and Director at Large. As Ms. Johnson mentioned, we're gearing up for our panels. That'll be June and July. We expect everybody to come out. We're going to feed you, tell you jokes, do whatever we need to do to entertain you while you're painting. We're going to be painting all day, 2 shifts. So look forward to that. Stephanie will give you more information on that. Also, we had our hybrid meeting last month. Still having some problems technically with the hybrid. One area work a little better and one area a little worse. So we're doing hybrid meetings every other month, but just still having a few difficulties. So look forward to seeing everyone in June and July. Thank you in advance.
So before we get on to the introductions online, I'd like to have Stephanie Nye has volunteered graciously to run the mic around the room here for introductions. And again, if you're part of a neighborhood council and you have a report, now's the time to do it. So Stephanie, if you'd like to introduce yourself. And
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Nye with the Community Services Department, Recreation Division, and Public Works. And I am also the staff liaison to RNCC and tonight's mic runner. So I'm just going to pass it around.
Hi, Vanessa Ward, Senior Budget Analyst, City of Richmond, Finance Department.
Mubin Carter, Deputy Director of Finance, Richmond.
Nikki Maste, Deputy City Manager of Internal Services.
Ranjana Maharaj, Community Services, Recreation Division.
Hope Littell, Finance Manager for Community Services Department.
Antonio Benuelos, Accounting Manager, Finance Department, City of Richmond.
Gavina Redondo, Richmond Housing Authority.
Mary Phelps, Water Resource Division Manager, Wastewater, Public Works.
Tamara Walker, Employment and Training.
Bert Jones, Finance Department, Budget Analyst.
Denmark Marcello, Richmond Fire Admin.
Avinish Nadan, Senior Accountant, Public Works.
Robert Armijo, Deputy Public Works Director and City Engineer.
Daniel Chavarria, Public Works Director.
Aaron Osorio, Deputy Fire Chief.
Bisa French, you all know me. Police Chief.
Hi, Suzanne Coffey. I am the treasurer for the Santa Fe Neighborhood Council. A brief report, we will be meeting in person at Bridge Storage the fourth Thursday of the month. That's the 25th of April. We just had Saturday an event with our District 2 rep, Cesar Cepeda. We hosted a coffee information session, and we also got a presentation about the transportation program work that they're trying to put together for the Richmond Parkway. And that's it.
So Cordell Handler, Park Plaza Neighborhood Council, no meeting for us just yet. So, but for the Point Richmond Neighborhood Council, at our last meeting, we had 26 people on Zoom we had folks from Veolia that came and gave an overview on what's going on with the plant. So our next meeting is April 24th at 7:30 via Zoom.
Hello, my name is Janie Holland, a resident of the Santa Fe Neighborhood Council.
David Alvarado, President of the Board of Directors for West County Wastewater District.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. LaShonda White, Deputy City Manager for Community Services. I took your job, Stephanie. I'm sorry.
Good evening, Christopher Larson, Library Services Manager.
That's it.
That looks good. And so maybe we can start on introductions online.
The first one is phone number 415-5264-4624. Would you like to introduce yourself? Hello? Next is April R. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi,
April?
I'm April Roy. I am currently Vice President of the Hilltop Village Owners Association as of February of this year. And so I don't have any reports at this point.
Thank you. Bryce Allman, would you like to introduce yourself? Bryce?
This is Bryce Alleman. I'm representing the Richmore Village and Metro Square neighborhoods. Nothing to report as of this week. I'd be there in person, but not feeling so well today. But I am here, so thank you.
Thank you. Carlos, would you like to introduce yourself? Carlos?
Yes, hello, Carlos Castro, Streets Maintenance Supervisor for the City of Richmond Streets Maintenance Division.
Thank you. Charles, would you like to introduce yourself? Charles?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Go
thanks.
ahead,
Yeah,
please.
Charles Gerard. I'm the Port Director at City of Richmond.
Thank you. Now, it says City of Richmond. Would you like to introduce yourself? City of Richmond?
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. This is Sue Hartman, Director of Information Technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal B? Crystal B, would you like to introduce yourself? Yes.
Are you?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
hi. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm Crystal Barton. I am the president of the Laurel Park Neighborhood Council. Nothing really to report out except for on Monday, the 15th, we'll have our quarterly meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheryl Taylor? Sharon Taylor, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you. Sharon Taylor, Human Resources Director, City of Richmond.
Thank you. Eva Mann, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes,
Eva?
Eva Mann, Code Enforcement Manager.
Thank you. Guadalupe, would you like to introduce yourself? Guadalupe?
Hi, my name is Guadalupe Anyana, and I am a Richmond resident community member. I also volunteer a lot of time within the West Contra Costa Unified School District, and I sit on various committees. I'm also the chair of the Children and Youth Oversight Board for the City of Richmond. I wanted to come in today because I spoke last week about the abundance of smoke shops and how those shops are affecting our children and youth, and I wanted to make sure that it's on our neighborhood council radar and urge the support of the neighborhood councils to act for a stop and oversight for those new smoke shops. Thank you.
Thank you. Howard, would you like to introduce yourself? Howard?
From my El Sprante Hills, we're not a council yet, but I'm here just to kind of see how things are going.
Thank you. Kate, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Kate Epler, Deputy Director for Community Services Library.
Thank you. Maggie, would you like to introduce yourself? Maggie?
We're at the term. Yeah. We're at the term.
Maggie, you're muted. Maggie, you're muted. Would you like to introduce yourself?
We'll just move on.
Lena, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Lena Velasco, Director of Community Development.
Thank you. Michelle, Milan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Michelle Milam, Crime Prevention Manager. It was a pleasure to speak with you all last month and glad to be here from the Richmond Police Department.
Thank you. Nanette, would you like to introduce yourself? Nanette?
Good afternoon. Good evening. Nanette Beecham, City of Richmond Economic Development Director.
Thank you. Oscar, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. My name is Oscar Garcia. I'm president of the Iron Triangle Neighborhood Council. So a couple things to report. We participated in the Richmond Rising Collaborative meeting that occurred, I believe, last week or the week before. I'm getting my weeks confused. And we're also monitoring something I wanted to raise to the RNCC is the plans on how the funds from the Chevron settlement will be distributed in the community. I think it's important that the neighborhood councils are active in that process and play an important role. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then as mentioned already, the smoke shops continue to be an issue for the Iron Triangle, and been working with the 23rd Street merchants to see how they can, in addition to the 45-day moratorium, address the more problematic smoke shops that bring a lot of crime to the neighborhoods along the 23rd Street corridor. And so it's important that that neighborhood councils, if as much as you can, get involved because this is a big issue, and we're not getting all the answers that we're hoping for from the city. So hoping for more support from fellow neighborhood councils on that. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Sam, would you like to introduce yourself? Sam Vaughn? Sam?
Yes, Sam Vaughn, the safety, here to be a part of the process.
Thank you. Soren, would you like to introduce yourself? Soren? Stephen Linderman? Stephen, would you like to introduce yourself? Stephen, please
Hey,
unmute yourself.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, Stephen Linderman, Senior Accountant with Richmond Police Department.
Thank you. Kwan Choi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Kwan Choi, Community Development Senior Admin Analyst.
Thank you. Yvette, would you like to introduce yourself? Yvette? Please unmute yourself.
Yvette Williams with Library and Community Services. I'm the Senior Administrative Analyst with the Adult Literacy Program, and I'm here to take part in the process.
Thank you very much.
That's quite a list. It's very impressive. And with that, thank you everybody for coming, and we'll see you next week. Thanks again, and thank you for all of you that work for the City of Richmond. It's quite impressive that you're here to see our meeting and engage. So next, we're going to have Garland Ellis, our Public Information Officer, give us his report before we move on to presentations.
We have a few announcements this month. First off, there is the Vote for Your Favorite in Richmond. This is sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce. You can leave your information at www.rcoc.com/best-off-Richmond-2024. Literacy Festival coming up April the 13th. This will be at the Richmond Auditorium from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And they're even giving away books. Love Your Block. This is for all the neighborhood councils. It's still going on through May 31st. There is a $1,000 supplies sponsorship application that you can apply for. And Stephanie would love to hear from you. Also coming up April the 28th from 12 to 5 p.m. here at the Civic Center Plaza is the Small Business Fair. Another survey through the City of Richmond, help improve the Richmond Parkway. And this is at mysocialpinpoint.com/Richmond/Parkway. These papers will be left up at the front if you didn't catch the addresses, or they're also on the city manager's report. You can apply for a electric heat pump if you have a wood-burning source of heat in your house. This is through the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. And you can contact them at baaqmd.gov/woodsmoke-grant. And last of all, April the 20th, from 10 to 1 p.m. at the Unity Community Plaza. That's at 1605 Ohio Avenue. Earth Day celebration, Richmond Rising Kickoff. There's a whole lot of events that are occurring with the Recreation Department, which I can't list them all, as well as the library. But if you'll see Stephanie, she will put you on a mailing list. You can get something like this, and it lists all kinds of events that are coming up for your neighborhood, for the city, and I'm sure you'll find something there that you would enjoy.
Thank you for your report. Next, we have the finances, where'd it go? Yeah, Finance Department, and we're going to talk about the city budget. We only allotted 10 minutes for the presentation and 10 for questions, so they're going to give you the abbreviated version. Thank you. Thank you for coming in.
Good evening, Richmond Neighborhood Council. It is great to be here. Thank you for inviting us. We will give you our concise version of our budget that we presented to Council on the 5th of March. So for our second slide, please. Our overview is the purpose of the budget, financial highlights, the 24-25 budget goals, the budget process, the general fund reserves, general fund revenues and expenditures for 23-24, the non-general fund revenues and expenditures for 23-24, unfunded items, ARPA and other grants, and then we'll close. Next item. This is a teeny tiny version of our city org chart, but it is very mighty. The city attorney, city manager, and city clerk are hired by the city council and mayor, and all of us underneath that chart do report to the people of Richmond. Next slide, please. Okay, the purpose of the budget is 4 components: policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communication device. Next slide, please. Some of our financial highlights is we've improved our credit rating to an A2. We've increased our unassigned general fund balance and reserve to 21%. We adopted a balanced annual operating budget for fiscal year 23-24 and 22-23. The city currently has over $204 million in grants and with various agencies. We also have a pre-funding policy for our pension. OPEB 115 trust accounts for pre-funding. And we are under a state audit corrective action plan, which is in process. Next slide, please. We have a variety of accomplishments for this year so far. We have a balanced budget with 21% in reserves. We have capital projects moving along. The main library renovation is coming online, Booker T. Anderson, some street safety, historically low homicide rate. Businesses such as Moxion were recruited to the port to bring 1,100 new green-blue jobs to the community. We have our community crisis response program being launched. We secured an $8.6 million encampment resolution funding round 2 grant, and that is going to target encampments citywide and the Caltrans right-of-way, serving 749 youth by providing career development, occupational skills training, and paid work experience. We restored Saturday hours to the main library for a total of 46 service hours, which is greater than the pre-pandemic 40 hours. And we launched after-school homework help at all 3 library locations and 2 community centers in Richmond. Next slide, please. The budget goals for 24-25 is to have a structurally balanced budget, evaluate service levels, maintain our bond ratings, invest in the built environment and facilities, with an emphasis on fiscal sustainability. Next slide, please. Our budget process has started, and we have input from all departments. We reviewed all inputs and revisions made through a series of internal and public meetings. We have community feedback through engagement, and City Council makes the final decisions regarding budget allocations. Next slide, please. Okay, our budget development key dates. If you look fourth from the bottom, we are right now at community budget meetings, which are April 8th tonight, April 11th at 1 o'clock, and April 24th at 5:30. We have our first draft budget going to City Council May 7th, a study session May 28th, and approval of the fiscal year 24-25 budget and CIP budget June 18th. Next slide. I will now pass it to Antonio.
Hello. So here's a quick snapshot of the general fund revenues as adopted by City Council for mid-year for fiscal year 23-24. Bottom line, we're expecting to receive $234 million for this fiscal year. If you look at the top three revenue streams, property taxes, sales and use tax, utility user tax, they make up about 72% of the general fund. That number actually used to be higher. It's not that the revenues have gone down, but we've had some voter-approved measures coming into play the last couple of years for other taxes, the documentary transfer tax, and for license and permits and fees is the business tax. So those revenues have actually gotten up in the last few years. Next slide, please. Okay, let's talk about property tax a little bit. Here's the distribution of the 1% we all get charged on our properties in Richmond. Of this, the city of Richmond only gets about, I guess, 28% of the 1%. So for an example of a property that's valued by the county at $500,000, the total tax is $5,000. The city of Richmond would get about $1,400 for that. Next slide, please. Here's the sales tax distribution. Currently, the sales tax in the city of Richmond is 9.75%. Most of the tax goes to different agencies, goes to the state. City of Richmond gets 2%, 1%, which every city gets. And we had two voter-approved items passed by Richmond voters in 2005 and 2015. So a total of 2% comes to the city of Richmond of the 9.75%. Next slide, please. Okay, here's a breakdown of the utility user tax. So telecommunication, which is basically your cell phones, your landlines, that's 9.5. That's actually been going down for the last few years, the actual revenue received by the city of Richmond. Video has also been going down. People are not keeping cable systems, so that has been going down for the last couple of years. What has been going up is gas and electricity charged by either PG&E or MCE. That's based on the rates charged by the utilities here in Richmond and throughout the state have been going up, and we've had a colder and wetter winters the last couple of years, so that revenue stream for the city of Richmond has gone down. Has been going up the last couple of years. The tax settlement of $4 million is actually paid by Chevron. It's been in place since around 2010. It was totaled $114 million, and we're nearing the end. So this revenue stream is going to go away completely. I think we have one more year after this year before it goes down to zero. The cap provision also paid by Chevron. This is based on a CPI that goes up based on energy services in the Bay Area. So that's gone up significantly in the last few years. Currently, Chevron is paying $33 million per year this fiscal year. It will go up a little bit next year also. And with that, I'll hand it over back to Mubin.
All right, good evening. This slide actually shows how those general funds that are collected from the community are expended. 35% of those funds go into salaries and wages, and 27% into fringe benefits, 15% to professional services and other, 8% is cost pool, 2% utilities and debt services, less than 1%, and then transfers out to other funds and programs which are not general fund. Gets those funds. All right, the same table with the general fund expenditures by the category of expenditures. You can see that the total expenditure budget at the mid-year was $245 million, and of that, $86 million is in salaries and wages, $66 million benefits, $21 21.487 million in professional and admin services and 9.1 million in other operating, and utilities and equipment services are about $6 million, and cost pool is 21.6 million, and so on. And you see that the other operating transfers out is $29.8 million, which is transfers out to other programs and projects which are being tracked in other funds. This pie chart shows the expenditures and those revenues being expended by function. The overwhelming majority of the funds, about 49%, is spent on public safety. Then it's, which is police and fire. And then 15% is in public works, community services, and internal services programs are 7%, 3% is general government, economic development 1%, and community development 1%. And then there's non-departmental, which includes most of the, almost all of the transfers out to other funds and programs. This is a this is a comparison of the general fund revenues for 23-24, how it was adopted, the revenues were adopted versus the revised budget before the mid-year, and how what the budget looks like at the mid-year approved budget. It's just a visual comparison. This is the same visual comparison of the general fund expenditures. Each category had the budget as an original budget, then revised budget just before mid-year budget, and then the mid-year budget, how it's approved. So we can see that some of the categories were increased, and it also shows in one of the tables previously presented. This pie chart shows the total non-general fund revenues for 23-24 fiscal year. Overall total revenues are $313 million across all fund groups, and these these slices in the pie are basically the roll-up groups of each fund. Capital Improvement Fund is 26%. Then there's Special Revenue Funds, 28%. Other Operations, 14%. And some of the other, all the other groups are actually laid out. These are the non-general fund expenditures for the current fiscal year. Total expenditures are $466 million budgeted. And again, the same categories as in the previous slide. Capital Improvement Funds is 26%, Debt Service 4%, Enterprise Funds 22%, and Special Revenue Funds 26%, and the other categories and the fund groups are listed as well. American Rescue Plan Act. This is issued by federal government in response to pandemic to compensate the local agencies and governments for the lost revenues due to the pandemic. City of Richmond was allocated with $27.7 million and has received all of the funds at this point. And the caveat or the condition by the U.S. Treasury Department is that these funds must be encumbered by December 31st, 2024. And also expended by December 31st, 2026. So there is a hard deadline on these funds to be expended. These are the major, these are the projects that are currently appropriated with the ARPA funding. It adds up to $27.7 million. Most of these projects are in progress or about to be starting in progress. However, this list is sort of fluid. If a project that is not ready to encumber in time, the deadline by U.S. Treasury by December 31st, the city will have to pivot these funds to other projects which are more shovel ready, just so the city doesn't have to return even a single penny from these funds. But the city and the council will be kept up to date about the development. The city also secured another grant, Transformative Climate Communities, as known as TCC grant, for $35 million from California Strategic Growth Council's TCC program, which is to bring health, economic, and environmental benefits to the Iron Triangle, Santa Fe, and Coronado neighborhoods over the next 5 years. And these projects, these developments will be around transit access and mobility, solar installation, energy efficiency, appliance electrification, solar installation, water efficiency, urban greening and green infrastructure, health and well-being through parks and healthy foods. Sounds very exciting. And these are the major projects that are currently in progress because from these $35 million TCC programs. The project areas, some of the areas are neighborhood complete streets, Richmond Wellness Trail, e-bike lending library, resilient homes, basins of relations, Bosque del Barrio, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, AD Accessible Garden, Orchard for All, Veggie RX, e-bike share. So these are, and also the map shows the location of these programs and projects. There is a Earth Day celebration, which is scheduled for Saturday, April 20th at Unity Park. The address is here, and so is the flyer. QR code is given to, which is to kick off, which is related to this TCC grant program. The City of Richmond also has ECIA, which is Environmental and Community Investment Agreement with Chevron, which started about 10 years ago, where Chevron agreed to invest $80 million in the city. In the areas of like supporting local scholarship program to the local students, and also in projects related to greenhouse gas reduction in the city. So these are the areas where those $80 million are invested, which includes $35 million for scholarship programs, $6.2 million rooftop solar energy retrofit, urban forestry $2 million, climate action plan $1 million, transportation transit programs $20 million, free internet $1 million, public safety programs $2 million, job training $6 million, and competitive grant program was $6 million. So these were the major grants that we wanted to highlight in today's presentation. And as we mentioned earlier in the presentation, that there are more additional community budget engagement presentations scheduled. These are the flyers. The next meeting will be on April 11th, 1 p.m., and following will be on April 24th, 5:30 p.m., and both of those presentations will also be translated in Spanish live, and those will be hybrid, in person and via Zoom, and a recording of one of those presentations will be made available to community for watching. And this concludes our presentation, and thank you. We're ready for any questions. Staff is available here from almost all departments and throughout the city to answer any of the questions.
I'd like to ask anybody in the audience that if you have a question, please come to the podium. In the meantime, I wanted to ask you, I didn't hear anything about the unfunded liabilities. Can you tell us how much that is and how it's growing and what you're doing to pay it down?
There you go. So we can get back to you about the specific numbers from the liabilities from OPEB and pension. However, what we're doing about those is we created 115 trust, and we also created policies to pre-fund those trusts. For example, we in the current budget, currently policy is for OPEB and for CalPERS is to basically contribute 10% of the unspent fund balances from prior years into those 115 trusts, which is like sort of like a saving account, where you can put those funds which can be used to pay off those liability in future. So exact amount of the liability, we'll get back to you about that via email.
Thank you. Rock, were you raising your hand? Is there anybody out in the audience that has any questions? Lori?
Hi, I have a question about the ARPA funds that have already been allocated. You said there were 27.74 million allocated, and it had to be spent by a specific time. Is there an alternative list for projects if you cannot start and complete before then?
Okay, can you please repeat the question? I think to me it sounded like a comment, but I'm sure there's a question.
No, there was a question. I said regarding the ARPA funds that have been already allocated, you mentioned that you had to start the projects at a certain time and complete it. Is there a list of alternative projects if a project cannot be started so that the funds will be spent?
There are multiple options which we are exploring, but then again, final decisions will be made by the council, and those will be published, whatever those alternatives are. it will be published and discussed publicly before an allocation is made.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions are there any, Jan?
Yeah, I know the ECIA grants that we got from Chevron were over a 10-year period. How much time is left on that?
As far as the funding receiving plan is concerned, we're concluding that. It's pretty close. I think it's this year is either last or the next. I don't know exactly how much that is. And in terms of the time limit on expending those funds is concerned, I'm not up to date. We can get back to you about that unless, there's another staff member who would like to contribute. So we have LaShonda, the Deputy City Manager.
Good evening, LaShonda White, Deputy City Manager. I had a feeling a question was going to come up, so I have my spreadsheet up. But Mubin is correct. This is the last year we will receive funding. So of the $80 million, we've received $76 million. We'll receive $4 million in June of this year, so that'll be our last allocation or funding being received from Chevron. However, we have, including what's budgeted in the current year, we have about $32 million remaining that has not been spent or is encumbered right now. And so we have a few additional years to be able to spend that down, but it will depend on how council, city staff and council want to allocate the remaining funding.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any questions online? Really? Wow, you guys got off lucky. I do have one last question. Where can all this information be found?
This presentation will be published on the web page, which is dedicated to community budget meetings. However, we can also email the copy of this presentation to you, to the group.
Thank you. Any last questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, I want to thank you for your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. So moving on, I guess we'll start with city staff. Is anyone here from RPD besides, well, the chief's here. There she is.
Actually, yes, I'm here, Lieutenant Decious.
That's okay. We have the chief.
Hey, I will let her do it.
No.
No. She said, go ahead.
All right. So Lieutenant Donovan Decious, Richmond Police. Just a couple updates on some statistics we have for the last month before I get into some events that we've held over the past month as well. This last month we did have a homicide. The good news about that is the person is arrested and is looking at some federal time as well. So that was an outstanding job done by our detectives up in homicide in our investigative bureau. We had 28 robberies citywide, which is a decrease of about 15%. Aggravated assaults are up about 28%. We had 77 total. And then we had 22 burglaries citywide, which up about 5%. When you look at it a little bit deeper in terms of the actual districts, the south side is where we have the homicide over on South 36th. Robberies are down about 29% in the southern district. We had 5. Unfortunately, 30 aggravated assaults, which is up about 15%, and then burglaries are down about 44%. In our central district, no homicides and none in the northern as well. We had 11 robberies in the central district, which is a 0% change. 28% change increase in aggravated assaults. We had 23. And then burglaries, we had 11, which is up 22%. And in the northern district, as I said, 0 homicides. Robberies are down 20%. We had 12. Aggravated assaults, 24. So it's up about 50%. And then burglaries doubled, unfortunately. And we had 6. I wanted to touch note. I know that we've had a lot of discussion, a lot of people interested about flock. First, Lori, I responded to your email. So I'll get back to you, but I have a little bit of information for you. The answer is yes. I just don't have the locations. So I will respond via email when I have that for you.
I love Bisa. I love Captain Bisa, but you're my favorite now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just want to show some numbers or share some numbers that we've had like year to date when it comes to flock and the success that we've had. Just in the, and I'll say the, the 3 months that we've had it, we've averaged 10 vehicles recovered per month. So that's 30 vehicles. We've gotten 29 arrests. 88 cases have assisted or been assisted by flock. And that doesn't mean that we got the car, but we've gotten some tangible results or information by the flock and those notifications. So 88 is a very big number. So looking about on average 30 per month, which to me is, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So that is an outstanding tool, and I hope that we continue to use it and get better at actually applying. We did have some pretty good events this past month. We had our public safety awards dinner, which was for a police and for fire. Officer of the year, the fireperson, the fireman of the year, as well as professional staff, teamwork awards, dispatcher of the year. So I commend and I congratulate everyone that partook in that and that was a recipient of an award. We had 2 walks with the chief. The first one was on 23rd Street, a corridor, and it's us getting out and communicating with the community, asking how things are, for us being seen and being open and transparent, and then having open dialogue about how we can be better in terms of serving the community, and then things that they would like to see us do a little bit differently. So we did it on 23rd Street, and then we also did one in Point Richmond, and they were both received very well. We also had an Easter egg, I'll say barbecue with some links, some hot dogs, no jumpy houses this year because of the weather, but then an Easter egg hunt. I think it was a week and a half ago, the day before Easter at Booker T, and that was extremely well attended. Luckily, the weather cooperated. And then by the time I do my next presentation next month, we will have completed Cinco de Mayo. So just for everyone that knows, Friday evening, we're shutting down the street on 23rd Street. We'll be sending some things out so the community is aware. The parade is going to be on that Saturday, the 4th, and the festival itself will be on the 5th, which is that Sunday. So expect 23rd Street to be closed down for the good part of 2 to 2.5 days. We'll have officers out there. We have a lot of officers that are going to be working that event, as well as some code enforcement individuals, our parking enforcement, some cadets and explorers, just so we have a very good presence so we can ensure that the community has a successful and safe event. Other than that, I think I am done, so I'm open for questions.
Rock, you mentioned in the Northern District and burglary, I believe you said 50%. I was just curious, 50%, was it up 50%? Was it, second question would be, what area of Northern? If you're able to say, was it homes, cars? Just getting an idea where in the Northern it's up 50%. And what is
So in terms of the locations, I don't have that. Let me see if I can pull up my stats and what it tells me in terms of the burglary breakdown.
basically, is there a hot area?
I would, you know what? I can actually get back to you and I can actually let you know tomorrow.
Yeah,
I can
no
email you
problem.
that, or I can give you a call. If you want to throw your email address, actually, I'll put my email address in the chat. Email me your.
My email is letsrockrichmond@gmail.com. Let's rock Richmond.
That's easy. I will get you some stats tomorrow.
Thanks.
There's no problem.
Cordell,
And it
you
was
have a question?
50% increase. It wasn't a decrease, unfortunately. It was a 50% increase, to answer your question.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Lieutenant Decious. Two of my concerns that I'm about to raise, hopefully you're writing this down. So number one, I had called in about a week and a half ago that people were doing donuts along 28th and Ream by Living Hope Church, and by the time I called them, the car disappeared. So is there any way that y'all can handle handle that with donuts? Because I've been getting a lot of concerns from the residents along that corridor. It's getting worse by the minute. That's one. And then the second one is I also called in about people be hanging out in front of 7-Eleven. That's one of my pet peeves. So hopefully that there will be some extra patrol along that corridor too. Thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of your the donuts or the sideshow activity, yeah, that's one of our biggest concerns and one of the biggest complaints that and other traffic related things or concerns. The issue we have with that is as soon as somebody calls, that vehicle is gone. I always recommend if someone's able to get a license plate number and when they call in, they can let their dispatch know what the license plate is, and we can do some sorts of follow-up. But we do have to abide by certain laws of arrest and misdemeanors not committed in our presence. So it is a little bit of we are handcuffed, no pun intended, on some of those if we don't on view it or see it ourselves. In terms of 7-Eleven, I'm assuming you're talking about 25th and McDonald. That is an area which our Northern District officers and Sergeant Ben Terria, who's a sergeant in charge of the Northern District, have been focusing on. And I know that the loitering has subsided quite substantially, but it is something that I will let the Northern officers know about. So thank you.
Lori?
Yes, can you tell me how many homicides we've had to date?
I can. And let me just go back over here. I believe it is
If it's
3.
more than 3, we have a problem.
It's 3.
I just double checking.
Yes.
Trying to make sure we that's
Yeah.
right.
Good to know.
We get, you know.
Actually, all 3 of them, we have named suspects for, while
Yeah.
2 of them, we got arrested, 1 is still outstanding.
Awesome.
Where was the suspect found? Was that in the Hilltop homicide?
Is that a question for
I'm
me
sorry,
or
what was
the chief?
Either one.
What was your question?
The homicide that you spoke about, you had a suspect in custody. Was that for the homicide in Northern District in Hilltop area, or where was that?
No, that was for the most
suspect?
recent one, which occurred on March 27th on South 36th.
Okay. Okay.
just trying to keep these numbers down so Chief French can hit her target from last year.
I don't know if there's any way of incorporating the shot spotter for like sideshows, but also I really wanted to ask about putting license plate readers on street sweepers once we get the street sweeping program up to keep our people out of harm's way, because I've seen a lot of hostile interactions when we had our street sweeping program up and running. So if we can get license plate readers on the street sweepers themselves, it would alleviate that interaction. It's just a thought. But do we have any questions online? Jan?
It's not really a question, it's a thank you. A big shout out to all the officers that came out and helped us at Wendell Park. We have a group that's part of the 23rd Task Force, and so we get some of the neighbors together and do a little cleanup around there because it's, believe how dirty it gets there. And 2, parking enforcement on 23rd Street. I drove by in front of the old Richmond Hospital today. There wasn't one car parked there. I am so impressed. Tell them thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm tired of the used car lot there.
So,
We dedicate,
oh, go ahead, Chief.
yeah, we've been dedicating at least 1 parking enforcement every day to 23rd Street for parking enforcement.
Do we have any other questions?
And then just to add that, our parking enforcement are the individuals who won the Teamwork Award for 2023. So they've been doing an amazing job. And it is the first time in a very long time that we've been fully staffed with 6 of them. So yeah, and we're trying to get more, hopefully.
It looks like we have a question online.
Oscar, can you unmute?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead with your question, please.
All right, yeah, I also wanted to thank RPD for the parking enforcement on 23rd. I also have seen some improvements, and the Merchants Association's very happy about it as well. One thing that come up, the smoke shop there on Lincoln and 23rd, it also had a second shooting on March 17th. Has that led to any arrests, or is there an update on that shooting, that second shooting there at the smoke shop?
I do not have anything specific I can provide today, but when I see you, hopefully on Thursday night for our meeting for Cinco de Mayo, we can chat and I can give you an update.
Any other questions? No? Well, Chief, if there's anything that you would like to comment on or make a plea for or anything, now's your chance.
No, thank you for having us.
Okay. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. So moving on to Richmond Fire Department. I see someone coming up. That'll work.
A lot of mics to pick from, so I just make sure I'm at the right one. Good evening, Aaron Osorio, Deputy Fire Chief for the Richmond Fire Department. I'll just highlight some of the things we're working on right now in the fire department. First and foremost, a lot of our efforts going towards our fire academy. We're coming into the final stage, final month of the academy. It's a joint academy with the El Cerrito Fire Department. There's a total of 12 recruits in that academy. 9 of those are going to be City of Richmond firefighters. It still doesn't get us 100% staffed, but it gets us very close, which is going to help with operations. They are set to graduate May the 3rd from the academy. We're moving forward with our joint training consortium plan with the Berkeley Fire Department, El Cerrito Fire Department, and Albany Fire Department, utilizing the Richmond Training Center on Cutting. The goal is to have a training consortium with multiple agencies to leverage all our funds and to be able to provide enhanced training to all the organizations, just a more efficient model for delivering training in the fire service. So we're still moving forward with developing that. It's in the early stages, looking for funding sources, grants, things of that nature. But that's our overall goal, is to get to this larger training consortium in the area. Moving forward with rebuilding some of our special operations programs, the Marine program, hazmat, and our rescue program. All of those received some mid-year funding, and so we're moving forward with replacing equipment, arranging training, maintenance, things of that nature, depending on the equipment. We've continuing to work towards reducing our mandatory overtime issues we've experienced for the last year and a half or so. We have made a ton of promotions. Most recently, we recognized in a badge pinning ceremony 4 new engineers, a fire captain, 3 fire inspectors, and our training chief position. Last week, we promoted 4 more engineers on top of that. So for the first time in probably 3 years, we have no true vacancies at the engineer fire captain rank, which was one of the leading contributors to our mandatory overtime. So we're making a dent in our staffing issues that we've been experiencing over the last few months. As Decious brought out, we had our awards dinner a couple weeks ago, recognized our firefighter of the year, which is firefighter Trevor Rogers. He's housed out of Truck 64, Crescent Park, Station 64. Just a great member of the organization that contributes and mentors and really cares about the community, and we want to recognize his efforts over 2023. We also recognized, we haven't done this since before the pandemic, we recognized 2 new CERT volunteers, and we also recognized someone from the city shop who on their private time actually rescued an individual out of a burning car after a vehicle accident, so we recognized that individual with the Valor Award as a civilian. CERT Academy kicked off last Thursday. This Thursday will be the 3rd session. About 20 individuals from the community enrolled in the CERT Academy. So we're glad that we're getting our first Academy of 2024 underway. There is a waiting list, so come fall, we will be able to give another CERT Academy of at least 20 individuals and get that program rebuilt to how it was before, pre-pandemic. We also have done a number of public education and public outreach events recently that were notable. We had at Station 64, the Shimada Friendship Commission came. We host them every time they come, and they were able to experience some of the differences in the fire service in the United States and expose them to what we do in public safety. We're continuing with our upgrades to both our communication system and our dispatch system, efforts that should make it more efficient and provide improved services to the community when it comes to our response times. And that's about the highlights, all the highlights I have from the fire department at this time, unless you have some questions.
Lori?
Yes, last month, I believe, I had brought up an issue with, I believe it was the interim chief, regarding Parkchester. Parkchester Village is a wonderful neighborhood. However, it's an older neighborhood, and our fire hydrants are not painted red. And so that is problematic. And I know that, I think it was the interim chief, but someone said that they would send someone out there to look at it, to see which fire hydrants the curbs needed to be painted. And I wanted to know if there was any movement on that yet?
There was movement. That was Chief Smith. He assigned that to Interim Fire Marshal Eric Munson. They went out there. Yeah, I was told it was the curbs, not the hydrants, that you wanted painted, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, I'm sorry.
So, yeah, I mean, that's something that we identified as a problem. It's not, nearly every neighborhood in Richmond, the curbs aren't painted red. Actually, it's not a Parkchester Village specific issue. It's everywhere. We encounter that problem all over the city. Now that we have a more robust parking enforcement division with the police department, the goal is to reach out to them, but it's going to take also Public Works to go out and do the painting of the curbs. It's kind of a multi-departmental project, but we have identified that it is important. We have a lot of areas that it's very tight for us to get in, and we have a hard time stretching lines and accessing fire hydrants. So it is something that's on our radar to work on.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Garland?
You mentioned that you were cooperating with several neighboring agencies, some in Alameda County, some in Contra Costa County. Do we at the present time have compatibility with hydrants and hoses and with radio equipment through all these close by jurisdictions?
Yes, well, within reason. I mean, I can't speak for, Oakland has changed. You know, they were most notable department that had different thread sizes and hydrant connections. So throughout the East Bay, everybody's compatible in that sense. We do have our own unique equipment, but to interconnect with each other, it is possible. As far as communications, we're all on a system called eBricks. It's the East Bay Regional Communication System. The whole point of eBricks being established was the basis of interoperability between fire agencies. Are those bright yellow radios you see all of us carrying around, and even police, theirs do the same thing. It's on an 800 megahertz system, and it allows us, if we need to have channels that we can communicate with each other on. It obviously has its limitations. It also allows us to communicate with BART if needed, if there is an emergency underground in BART. All the East Bay fire departments, and then going the other direction as far as Vallejo is about the furthest one up that has it. But there's limitations in the other direction. Marin County is not on that system. We can communicate with them, but it's much different. It's not as easy. But as far as this side of the bridge and along the county line and all the East Bay jurisdictions, we do have that capability.
Good. I've got a couple questions. I'm sorry, who had, Josephine?
April on Zoom. April, would you like to ask your question? Please unmute yourself. April?
Okay, I figured out how to unmute. Thank you so much for all your help with the fire department. I live in Hilltop Village, and now that I'm back on the board, there have been a lot of homeowners that have started to complain about all the structures being built on the slopes that are county property below our homes. I actually live on the side where the last two fires were pretty huge.
April, there's a lot of background noise.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay?
There's still thumping.
Huh. I'm not sure what it is. Let's see, let's try this. How's that? Can you hear me okay now?
Just speak up a little louder, and if you could just get to your question.
Sure. The question is, what is the attention that's being given to the county slopes that now have a number of homeless encampment structures built on them? We're concerned about the fires.
When we get reports of that, we usually refer that to Contra Costa Fire District's Fire Marshal, Chief Bachman. And, you know, ultimately, we don't have any ability to do any sort of abatement or enforcement on their property, but we do forward those to Con Fire.
Any other questions? Okay, so I have a couple questions and concerns. So there's a facility called CSI Mini Storage at 855 Parr Boulevard. Management mandated that all the people with storage facilities there, warehouses in particular, have their sprinkler systems inspected. So Richmond Fire sent out a subcontractor, but the irony of this is that none of the sprinkler systems were ever permitted. So how does that work?
You are speaking about something very specific that I can't speak to here tonight without referring to the Prevention Division.
Okay. I'd like to speak to somebody about that. Who would I speak to?
We can start with the Fire Marshal,
Okay.
and he can reach out and we can contact. I know you've been in contact with our Prior Prevention Division a lot over that facility, so if you need the contact, I can get it for you. I'm pretty sure you have it. Still, right? I can get it to you.
Okay.
Because, you know, that's very specific to that site, and I'm not prepared to be able to speak on that.
No, I
location.
understand. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. But putting you on the spot, in the event of a catastrophic event like an earthquake, what is the role of Richmond Fire Department? What do you expect the role of the fire department to be?
That is a very broad question. I think without specifics, it would depend on the severity of the earthquake. There's a lot of divisions of the fire department that have different actions they'd have to take. Our emergency service division would be in charge of standing up an EOC and coordinating different types of command structure functions, logistical functions, things like that. Our operations division would have to determine whether or not there was structural collapse or emergencies or fires. So like I said, that's a very broad question, and it's very dependent upon the severity of the event.
I guess the question is there a coordinated effort to try and figure it out just in case there is an earthquake with the city and fire department and police department?
Well, that's the purpose of us having an emergency operations plan. So some of these things are activated based on the need. I mean, that's why our command structure is the way it is. It's modular, and it can be increased or decreased based on the severity of the incident. Initially, without knowing details, every district in the city would be doing a windshield survey of their district. They would report back to the on-duty shift battalion anything they found. But there could also be significant events that pull resources in. It depends where it's located, you know, if there's other jurisdictions that are impacted. Some of our auto aid and mutual aid may or may not be available. So that's it's very difficult to give you a response without having like a more detailed scenario presented.
I understand. And then we've had interim Chief Michael Smith for quite some while, 6 months now, or since Montoya left?
Since November.
Yeah, and I was just curious, is there an active search for, or are we going to make him permanent chief, or?
No, he's not going to
Are
be
you gonna
permanent
be
chief.
chief?
He's a retired annuitant, so you'd have to follow up with the HR department handling recruitment. The fire department is not handling that recruitment,
Okay, all right.
but I do know the recruitment is still open.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions, or? No? Well, thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Okay, next we have the mayor's office. I saw LaShonda. She was behind the column there. Is LaShonda in?
No, she wouldn't be for the mayor's office.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. There's no one here from the mayor's office then? Okay, I guess we'll move on to city manager's office. Samantha?
Good evening, everybody. This is Samantha Carr, Environmental Manager. Also joining me this evening is Nanette Beecham, Director of Economic Development. So I'll start it off and then I'll pass it over to Nanette. So a couple of updates is that there's going to be a wonderful and beautiful Earth Day celebration on Saturday, April 20th at Unity Park. We definitely encourage everybody to come join in the celebration and volunteer with us. Additionally, everybody mark your calendars for Bike to Wherever Day on Thursday, May 16th. There's going to be 5 Energizer stations located in Richmond, one at the Richmond BART station, one at the Richmond Ferry, one by Grocery Outlet, another at Unity Park, and then the 5th one's going to be in Point Richmond. Additionally, and last item before I turn it over to Nanette is that BACMed recently released a grant program for residents to transition away from wood stoves and I believe also wood fireplaces and transition to electric heat pumps. So the program's called Clean HEAT, HEET. I can provide more information on that to RNCC, but wanted to note that that program has recently been made available and applications I believe are due around May 16th or 15th. And with that, I will pass it over to Nanette.
Thank you, Samantha. I just have a few announcements from economic development. We have a number of divisions under our department, including the Richmond Housing Authority, Economic Development Business. You just heard from Samantha. We also have Arts and Culture. And what am I leaving out? The Port. So we have a couple of opportunities coming up. One for Richmond Housing Authority. We're going to be issuing an RFP for development of Interim Village. We issued an RFP a few years ago and selected a developer, and we were unable to execute a master development agreement. So we're going to be going out sometime in April for solicitation for new developers for the demolition and construction of Interim Village. Another opportunity that we have coming up is an RFP for a consultant to manage grants and opportunities for small business owners with ARPA funds. So we're going to be issuing that in the near future. So please look on our website and the city manager's weekly newsletter to find out about everything that's going on in economic development in the city of Richmond. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? No questions? None online? Well, thank you very much for your presentation. Greatly appreciated. So I guess we'll move on to planning. Hector Rojas? Oh, I'm sorry, Stephanie Nye from Community Services. You're next.
Hello? Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is Stephanie Nye, Community Services Recreation Division and Public Works, here to give you some updates. First, I just want to start with my typical reminders that neighborhood councils have access to our community centers for their regular meetings. Just contact our registration office to reserve our community centers. And you also have one free annual event every year. So just a reminder to use those perks. You also have access to our printing and mailing services. Just email us at neighborhoods@ci.richmond.ca.us with your request. And please submit them well in advance of when you need them. In terms of recaps for the Recreation Division, last month we held a number of special events. We held our first floating egg hunt at the Plunge. We also held our annual spring egg hunt and our very first Holy celebration at the Recreation Complex. Last week for Youth Outdoors Richmond, we took 18 youth to San Luis Reservoir in Central California to go camping. Again, this is a free program I mentioned last month, and this is our spring cohort. We will also have two-week summer programs available to middle and high schoolers in Richmond, also available at no cost. Registration begins June 1st for those cohorts. Please contact us if you have any information. Speaking of new programs, we are now accepting applications for Teen Eco Action, which is our annual summer program held in partnership with East Bay Regional Parks District. Participants visit regional parks to complete service learning projects, learn about different career opportunities, and participate in recreational activities. Participants receive up to 20 hours of community service, and they also get a $200 stipend when they complete the program. Contact our registration office if you want to apply for that. For our upcoming summer camps, we have two different summer camps. Our Elevate Summer Camp that happens at May Valley Community Center and Richmond Recreation Complex. We also have our Achieve Summer Camps that will occur at Parchester, Shields Reed, Nevin, and BTA Community Centers. For our Elevate Summer Camp, registration opened on April 1st, and then for our Achieve Summer Camps, registration will open on May 1st. In terms of upcoming events, forgive me if Garland already mentioned these, I've forgotten. But this Saturday, we have our annual Literacy Festival, Saturday, April 13th, 10 to 2, and it will take place at the auditorium. There will be book giveaways, author talks, free food, entertainment, and library updates. On Saturday, April 20th, there will be an additional Earth Day celebration in addition to the one Samantha just mentioned. This one will take place in North Richmond at Shields Reed Park from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And there will be service projects and then a celebration at the park. On the following Saturday, on April 27th, we will also have our annual Park Prescription Day at Nickel Park from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. There will be health information and resource vendors, talk with a healthcare provider and receive services like blood pressure checks. We'll have a lot of physical activities available, Zumba, soccer, volleyball, obstacle courses. We'll have a gardening workshop where you can learn how to grow white sage, and also an herbal remedy workshop where you can make your own jar of sugar scrub and bring it home with you. Lastly, for that event, we will have a volunteer mural painting session with Richard Muro Salazar near the bathroom area where we are creating an outdoor resilience hub, and there will be a mural going up there, and you can join us on that day. So lots of activities going on. Oh, and we'll feed you, of course, on April 27th for Park Prescription Day. We are still accepting vendor registrations. If anybody on the call wants to register, just feel free to contact our registration office at 510-620-6793. We also have our 40th annual Senior Information and Health Fair on Wednesday, May 22nd from 10 to 1 at the auditorium. That will include door prizes, informational vendors, interactive exercises, demonstrations, and more. And of course, as Ms. Lori and Ms. Rita have mentioned, we have our upcoming Parchester Soundwall Mural Community Paint Days, June 1st, 8th, and 15th, and then July 13th, 20th, and 27th. So 6 full-day community paint days. You're welcome to come to any of them. Shifts are from 9 to 12 or 1 to 4, and we'll feed volunteers as well. We'll have t-shirts to give away. It'll be a lot of fun. This will be arguably one of the largest volunteer-based mural projects in Richmond, so come be a part of history. And contact us if you have any questions. The flyer hasn't gone out just yet, but for now, just save the date. And I also want to mention our executive board was informed of this, but for everybody else, the city of Richmond was awarded the Neighbor to Neighbor grant from the governor's office in the amount of $750,000. And the grant will be used to activate 20 of our neighborhood councils in Richmond to do a lot of community engagement events and projects. More information on that is forthcoming. We're still just in the administrative phase right now, but we're excited to continue working with RNCC and neighborhood councils and try to fund more of your projects and engagement with the community. And that will conclude my report. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? None online? Oh. I have a question. So are we doing anything, is the city of Richmond doing anything for Cinco de Mayo, a float or anything, or?
I do believe the Recreation Division is creating a float. I would have to confirm with my colleagues, but I'm not 100% sure.
And can you let the audience know a little bit more about the mini grants?
About the
$1,000 mini grants?
Oh yeah, so we have our Love Your Block in-kind sponsorships available. And if anybody wants to do a volunteer-based community beautification project, you could get up to $1,000 of supplies to do that project. You know, if you need like trash pickers, trash bags, gloves, snacks for your volunteers, this is a perfect opportunity, especially if you don't currently have a 501c3 status. So it's good for grassroots efforts. And then our $10,000 mini grants, that cycle has concluded. It'll be back next winter.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments? Well, thank you for your presentation, as always.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention, sorry. A lot of our activities are in our activity guide that Garland waved around earlier. But I have a couple more if you want to come visit at my spot over there. And this is also available, physical copies are available at the registration office, 3230 McDonald Avenue. And this is available digitally online. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Hector Rojas from Planning. Is Hector here or anyone from Planning?
I'm here virtually, Arturo. Can you hear me?
That'll work. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Hector Rojas, Planning Division. Actually, for our presentation, I'd like to cede our 5 minutes to Beatriz Guerrero. She's the coordinator for our Transformative Climate Communities Grant, and she's here to tell you more about the grant program and the activities that her are putting together for Richmond. So Beatriz, I'll hand it over to you.
Hector. Hi, everyone. Good night. My name is Beatriz Guerrero. I work for the Community Development Department, and I am the TCC Coordinator, Transformative Climate Communities. I know you've heard enough today about the grant that Mobin kindly included in his presentation. We got $35 million. The city got $35 million together with other 6 organizations, including Trust for Public Land, Grid Alternatives, Rich City Rights, Urban Health, Groundwork Richmond, and UC Berkeley, who's doing the evaluation of the grant. This grant has been provided to the city to accomplish different projects, 10 projects that are included within the 3 different neighborhoods of Iron Triangle, Coronado, and Santa Fe. We've been attending the neighborhood council meetings. We started with Iron Triangle, and we're looking forward to attend the other 2 neighborhood councils in the next couple of weeks. We want to let you know, as well as both Movina and Samantha, let you know that Earth Day celebration at Unity Park on Saturday, April the 20th is going to be the kickoff meeting where we are going to be sharing all the information about the projects, and we would love to see you there. Additionally to the to the event that we're going to be hosting. There's people who are going to be sharing information about each of the projects, and we're looking forward to provide more information to you. One thing that was not mentioned during the previous presentations is that this grant is a 5-year term grant, and we have to spend the money and finish the construction of all the projects and implementation of all the projects within the project area in the next 5 years. So just so you know a little bit more about the programs, I want to let you know that there's a project called Neighborhood Complete Streets that is going to create new bike lanes and pedestrian pathways and strategies to slow traffic on both Ohio and Harbor Way. We have another project that is the Richmond Wellness Trail Phase 2 that is going to create a route from BART to the Amtrak to the new ferry terminal. And project number 3 is an e-bike lending library. It's going to be built at Unity Park, and it's going to provide more electric bikes as well as training and offer free road to ownership program for people who complete the trainings. Our project number 4 is Resilient Homes. This is a program that will let residents install solar panels on their homes, creating cost savings and improving health outcomes. This program is focused on low-income housing so that they can get access to this technology. Project number 5 is Basins of Relations, and it will help residents of all the project area to install gray water systems and offer also green career training for people who are interested. And project number 6, Bosque del Barrio, is going to plant 1,000 new trees on streets and homes of the project area who are interested in having additional trees. Our ADA accessible garden is going to be a design and build garden to increase access to healthy foods for all users, including seniors and people with mobility challenges and disabilities. Our project number 8 is Orchard for All, and it's going to help us plant more fruit trees and provide jobs and free healthy food. Talking about Orchard for All, this program is going to start providing trees during the Earth Day celebration. So if you're part of the celebration, you'll most likely be able to get a fruit tree. So please sign up and come with us to the event. Project number 9 is called BGRX, and this is a program that will prescribe fresh produce as preventative and restorative medicine, and offer classes and workshops as well as events for people to cook recipes with healthy food. And last but not least, we have an e-bike share program that the city will be using to expand our current e-bike shares program, adding 70 bikes across 5 access points within the project area, and will offer free memberships to the people who live in the project area. Just so you know, we have different plans that the city will be establishing to complete this projects, and we will have a community engagement plan that will include youth fellows and a community stakeholder committee. We will have a displacement avoidance plan that is currently being implemented by the planning department, as well as the environmental manager and the city manager's office. And we will have also a workforce development economic opportunity plan that is currently implemented by our city work and training team, and we will have also an indicator tracking plan that is going to be implemented by the UC Berkeley system. And just so you know, our event is going to be happening at Unity Park, April 20th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. for all the events and volunteering. And if you want to know more about the program, the Richmond kickoff, the ceremony is going to happen from 12 to 1. We're going to have people from the state coming, as well as all our community partners and the mayor present in this event. So please join us. And here's the flyers. If you want to scan to get registered, we would love to have you there. We also want to let you know that all the people who live in the project area should have received a postcard with the information about the event, as well as all the links for our website in Richmond Rising, ca.org. And we will be there waiting for you. So just one additional piece of information is we have a collaborative stakeholder committee meeting that happens every Wednesday at Nevin Community Center from 6 to 8 p.m. And part of the objective of this collaborative stakeholder committee is to make recommendations and provide input to help the project leads to implement the projects that we're going to be providing to the community. And even though this committee doesn't have a final decision-making authority, we are going to take into account all the considerations that community members and members of the committee provide to the project leads. We are going to open 3 to 6 spaces for the collaborative stakeholder meeting to be occupied by residents of the community or business owners. And this will provide a stipend for monthly participation, which is $50 per meeting. And we will love to get your help to spread the word once we start putting out the information about the seats that we will have for community members. So thanks so much for your time. And if you have any questions, please reach out to tcc@ci.richmond.ca.us. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Any questions, Lori?
Clarification. So you put up Richmond Rising programs. Is that exclusive just to the 3 neighborhoods? Is that part of the $35 million grant? Is this separate? I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah, sorry about that if it was confusing. So the TCC grant is a grant that was provided by the state to specifically those 3 neighborhoods that are called the project area. The reason that this work is selected neighborhoods is because they're considered neighborhoods that are overburdened by pollution more than any other area within the city. And that's why the majority of these projects are going to be focused in this area. That doesn't mean that a lot of these other the programs that we talked about can't operate in other areas. However, they're now being focused on those particular neighborhoods, the 3 that I mentioned before.
Okay.
Any other questions? How about Hector? Are you still there? No? Well, thank you for your present. Oh, okay. No, we did have some questions online about, but I don't know if you can answer them about Point Malati, if there's been any kind of movement on that, and then the Craneway. But I don't know if you're the appropriate department to ask.
No,
those
I'd have to
questions.
get together with Lena to sort that out. So if you're welcome to send me an email, and I could definitely follow up on those questions for you. I could put my
Will do.
email in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll pass that on. Thank you very much for your presentation. If there's no other questions, I guess we'll move on. No? Thanks again. Moving on, we've got Public Works. Carlos, are you there? Are you with us?
I am. Hello, everyone. Once again, Carlos Castro, Supervisor for the Streets Maintenance Division. I will start with our street sweeping division. About 2 weeks ago, we took delivery of a new sweeper. And then today I found out that in about another 2 weeks, we should get one more street sweeper that was ordered. That's going to contribute to making our program more efficient. The street sweepers get a lot of wear and tear and a lot of abuse. So once they get older and towards the end of their life, they tend to have more frequent breakdowns. So with 2 new sweepers coming in, that's going to make us more efficient and provide a steadier service. I do want to say that the 29th and 30th of this month are both 5th days of the month in which we'll do our normal commercial sweeping. But on those 5th days, we try to focus on the parkway. If staffing allows, if it doesn't, then we try to focus on medians throughout the city. So that's a Monday and Tuesday, the 29th and the 30th. There is not any residential routes scheduled those days, and we'll be focusing on the parkway. That's the plan anyways. Our traffic signs and lines division, they're continuing with the major refresh of the faded signs that are on San Pablo Avenue. They're also installing new crosswalks, stop messages, and detail 22 on Hayes Street, which the paving crew paved last week. And then Signs and Lines crew is also working on a ton of various e-tracket work orders that we have in our system. So they're a 5-man crew in a 52 square mile city doing the best that they can. The paving department, as I mentioned, we paved Hayes Street last week from Richmond High School to Market. This week, we're working on Richmond Parkway between Bloom Drive and Lakeside Drive. We're doing some base repairs in that area. So if you see us out there with the cone zone, please slow down for us. I don't know why, but people drive about 80 miles an hour in that stretch of the parkway. So we'll be doing that this week. And then we're also finalizing our paving schedule for the rest of this summer. Something that the city is trying to do now is implement a slurry seal program. So we're having a lot of coordination meetings internally so that we're getting more bang for our buck. We want to slurry seal streets before they get bad. It's going to extend the life by a lot. And then we're still going to be paving streets also. That's what I have that's new. I do want to touch on a couple things from our last couple meetings. I looked at Lincoln between 24th and 26th, and unfortunately, those patches, those are a finished product. Those are spot repairs that Veolia or maybe a different contractor does, and those are a finished product. They won't be paving down the center of the street. The 20 feet at crosswalks of red paint, that's something that the city is looking into how to implement because although it is a law, we have to get the word out because once we paint these curbs red and people start getting tickets, they're going to need to know. So the 20 feet of red paint at crosswalks and at curb returns is another thing that we're having internal discussions on how to implement. We got some potholes on Collins and Williams. And then I did want to mention also that I misspoke when a couple months ago when I said that we're not going to be replacing the street name signs on San Pablo Ave that technically isn't city limits. We are going to replace any faded street name signs there, any stop signs, and any of the welcome to Richmond signs. So that's a fairly large project that our sign shop is undertaking. I think that's all the updates that I have, and I'm open for questions.
Any questions? Rock?
I just want to mention that you were mentioning that the crosswalks over in the general area where I live, I know that there's flyers going out right now, and the folks are really working at petitioning for and plan on coming to do open forum about the crosswalks in the area between San Pablo on Solano Avenue, between San Pablo and where you get on the freeway there, specifically there. The different streets that go across. There is a lot more younger families, a lot more walking going on, which is good. We got a lot of people that are walking. So I wanted to mention that I don't know if you've heard anything about that, but that specific part of San Pablo, and that I guess a couple years ago unfortunately somebody was hit and killed, and a couple of months ago there was an accident. So look for people to come to, because I know you'll be doing the roads. So I just wanted to inform you ahead that folks are going to be communicating more about crosswalks on Solano between San Pablo and Highway 80.
Okay. They're most likely working with the engineering division if they're going to change anything to try to make them like a high visibility crosswalk. So
yeah,
I'll be on the lookout for that.
That's all. Just wanted, yeah, exactly. Thank you for all your work.
Any other questions? No questions? I've got a couple myself. One of them is that someone contacted me and said that it's really dangerous around Grant School, around 24th and Gaynor and 24th and Garvin, that the streets crossing lines need to be repainted. And they were asking what could possibly be done, because a lot of the parents are walking their kids into class, and the cars are whizzing by, and you can hardly see the crossing signs. Crossing paint. So if you can look into 24th and Gaynor and 24th and Garvin,
okay,
that'd be greatly appreciated. And then in my neighborhood on Barnard off of Groom, there's three lights out. I don't know if that's your jurisdiction or your department, but 3 street lights that are not working. And then most of the red curbs around Contra Costa College, around Shane Drive, Duke, Gonzaga, and Loyola are faded, so you can't even see them. If that's possible to address. And then obviously most of the signs in my neighborhood need to be replaced as street sweeping signs before anybody can ticket anyone.
Right. the streetlights, where did you say the streetlights were at again?
They're saying it's on Bernard.
Oh, is there streetlights on Bernard? That's the electrical division, but I will pass that word on to them though. But the red curbs, that's my division.
Okay. And then I don't know if you want us to start getting information on the street sweeping signs that are faded or not even legible, but there's a ton of them in our neighborhood. I'm sure there's a ton of them in the city.
I got a ton of them, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of them, especially the ones facing south. Anything facing south fades so fast. I am not opposed to anybody helping with the list that, you know, gives me specific addresses. Otherwise, we just go up there and try to replace what we see. Right now, we only have one guy that makes all the signs for the city. And like I said, we're on San Pablo Ave. That's over 100 signs, and he's very busy. So we're gonna be slow on the street sweeping replacements. Just so everybody knows, I want to be transparent about that because of all the other work that we're doing. But like I said, I'm not opposed. If you have addresses, it makes it easier for us.
And again, like I mentioned earlier to the chief, that it would be helpful if the street sweepers themselves had license plate readers on there that can generate the tickets rather than putting officers in harm's way. Because I've seen people come out of my neighborhood with guns, and it's not cool. So
Yeah.
it'd be nice if we didn't have to have that interaction. So any other questions? Well, thank you, Carlos. We thank you for everything you do and being the boots on the ground.
Have a good night.
You too. And then we're moving on to old business, and I see as old business, we're going to be working on some new policies for the RNCC and neighbor. So we need to get up to speed, get up to 2024. Some of our policies are out of date and need to be revised. So, and then moving on to new business, I guess we're looking for volunteers to attend festivals and other events like dumpster days. So I don't know where we can have people contact.
They can email me.
Okay, well, you want to make a pitch?
Sure, I'll make a pitch. We do, like we're doing, we're gonna be at Park RX. Hopefully we're, I don't know if we're gonna be at Cinco de Mayo or Juneteenth, but we try to be. But, you know, I can only do so much and the rest of us can only do so much, and some people are gone. But we are looking for volunteers to do dumpster days, because now we have neighborhoods who basically say they can't get anybody to help, and they've got 4 or 5 locations, which is crazy, but that's what it is. So they can just email me at RNCC, richmondca@gmail.com, and just let me know, you know, if they're available, you know, if there's a weekend. Dumpster days are always on Saturdays between 8 and 12, so if you can come out for 2 hours, that's helpful, that's for sure. That's all I have.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody. Oh, Cordell, you have something you want to add?
So as I mentioned last month, I did have a couple of suggestions that I'm bringing forward to the board for consideration for the next agenda. So as you heard online, we had Charles Gerard thinking about having him come to a future meeting so he can introduce himself to you all and figure out what his vision is for the port, because we're trying this port generates money. So that's one option. And then the other option was having Ms. Tanya to come speak to you all, to talk to you all about her nonprofit organization because I met her at the Juneteenth celebration last year, and I said that that I think well, I'm bringing forward an idea to have her come for a future meeting to tell us more about the organization regarding like mental health, advocacy, and all that stuff. So I think I forwarded to you, Ardo, a couple months back. So hopefully the board will consider inviting her to come to a future meeting. Ms. Tanya.
Thank you. Got a couple more?
Hi there, I'm Suzanne Coffey. I just wanted to make a brief announcement on behalf of the Path to Clean Air. The Community Steering Committee will be presenting the plan to the Air Quality's Community Equity, Health, and Justice Committee, which is the final step before it goes to the board at the Air Quality for approval. Normally these meetings are held in San Francisco at Beale Street, but they are bringing the meeting into the community. It will be on April 22nd at 5:30 in the council chambers in the city of San Pablo. And we are encouraging as many people to come out and support the plan, to be in the seats to show that the public is in favor of this. It will be an opportunity for people to make a public comment. The other agenda item that will be talked about at that meeting is the beginning of the conversations about how they will be allocating funding that's coming from the fines to the community benefits programs. And so I think a lot of people have interest in that. So this is a good event for people to come out and show their support for clean air. And I can forward a formal invitation that the Air Quality District is putting out next week. I can share that with the RNCC. And please watch it on the Air District site on your favorite social media channel. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jan?
I'm sorry, I have one more pitch. On Saturday, April 20th for Earth Day, there's a group that's using one of Stephanie's $1,000 mini Love Your Block grants for cleaning up the play lot at the Humphrey Play Lot, which is on 26th and Humphrey. It doesn't get used very often, and in the winter, it floods. So hopefully we don't have too much rain before this. But if you're, it's a group that's coming out, want to get some more involved with what's happening in Richmond. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing it. I was holding it, I don't know why. So it's a new group that I have not heard of. It's a nonprofit that's coming out and wants to do more things in Richmond, and hopefully I will be able to talk with them and get them involved with other people.
What's that date again?
So, April 20th, Earth Day.
Earth Day.
It's a fun day. Yes, Stephanie?
So the group is called Fierce Advocates, and they're formerly Building Blocks for Kids.
Okay.
And they're a Love Your Block mini grant recipient, not the in-kind one. So they got the full,
they got the big,
grant.
oh, I thought.
Ardo Michelle Mylan.
Yes, please.
Michelle, you want to go ahead and make your comment?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to announce that on the 24th of this month, we're going to have block captain training again. So if you are interested in starting a neighborhood watch or know somebody who's interested, or if you were on the previous call and you got kind of blocked by the Wi-Fi blockage that we had that night, we'll be able to have that. We'll be ordering signs and decals for people who sign up and get trained up to get started. We had a lot of folks sign up for our first block captain training, about 100. So we hope that people will sign up. And Jan, you mentioned your point about the dumpster days. I want to make sure there's good connection between the neighborhood watches and the neighborhood councils. So if there are dumpster days or other volunteer opportunities that you have, we have our block captains broken out by beat and by district. We can send those announcements to the neighborhood watch groups and hopefully get some of those folks involved.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Well, I did want to announce, I see the president of West County Wastewater in the audience, and I don't know if you want to say a few things before we close. Okay, well, yeah. Okay, that sounds good. I do know that they've got a state-of-the-art wastewater plant that they're building right now, and they're involved with the North Richmond Living Levee project, hoping to get funding for that, which is going to be a major deal for this region. And they serve about 30% of Richmond. So, yeah, look forward to getting a presentation from them. Other than that, I think it's time to say goodbye. Jan's saying go home. I'd like to close the meeting. It's Monday, April 8th, 8:55. So thank you, everybody. Thanks again. Bye-bye.